Sure.
Thank you. Okay, Officer Milton, let me know who you have first. You're muted. You're muted there, Milton.
Sorry, Your Honor.
That's fine. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We are providing you with the assistance of the Public Defender's Office this afternoon if you choose to utilize their services. Who do we have?
Position 15, Ms. Herron.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Herron. You've been charged in case 24 CR 007588D with simple battery and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Good afternoon, Ms. Jackson. Is there a history?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. She has 2 cycles. The last arrest, but actually this is going to be a bond surrender, Your Honor. She does have 2 cycles. The last arrest was September 29, 2024 in Fulton County for terroristic threats and act and simple assault. She was out on a signature bond on that charge. That case number is 24 PI 007210. She was recommended for a UJR level 2. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Let's see. Oh, yes. Good afternoon, Ms. Huda. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Good.
So, Your
good.
Honor, this incident did occur on November 5th of 2024. Officers were called to 1097 Calhoun Avenue in East Point for a fight. Once they arrived, they spoke to a juvenile named Amari Lear. She essentially said that she and Ms. Herron's daughter were in an ongoing feud over social media because the 2 juveniles do go to the same school. Prior to the fight, Ms. Herron's daughter went over to Amari's house, telling her to come out and fight. The 2 juveniles started fighting, and within a short period of time, Ms. Herron's husband joined the fight, as did Ms. Herron. Ms. Herron's husband held Amari Lear down while Ms. Herron joined in by striking Amari Lear on multiple occasions. Ms. Lear did have scratches and was missing some hair from the back of her head. Your Honor, the simple assault terroristic threats that was mentioned also included threats to a group of juveniles in the community. We are asking for a $2,500 surety bond, $1,500 on the simple battery and $1,000 on the corruption of minors, a stay away from 1097 Calhoun Avenue, and also a no further contact with Amari Lear or any members of the Lear family.
Thank you. Ms. Wright, is this your case?
It's my case, Your Honor.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. Good afternoon, Your Honor. There's a whole lot more to this story than has been stated by the prosecution. My client is a mother of 4 children, a 16-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 6-year-old. She's in her early 30s and has had absolutely no history until very recently. She tells me that the alleged victim and her daughter attend the same school. They had an issue at school, and the mother of the alleged victim kept insisting that she was going to do something to get my client arrested. She has been trying to engage my client on certain levels. She's been back and forth to the school. The school showed her that there was video indicating that my client had not interacted with her child at school at all, but she just kept going over this. And it seems as if, because they all live in the same community, she was able to get someone in the neighborhood to actually lie to the police. There's no video of my client doing any of this, by the way. This is just based on allegations made to the police. It will come out once we go to trial that they have absolutely no video or any credible evidence, anyone saying that my client was actually fighting with this minor, because she denies completely that this ever took place, Your Honor. On top of that, this is a Riverside issue because my client has been in East Point, and then she apparently was taken to Fulton County in the wee hours of Saturday morning, and she's been sitting there since. So I would ask for signature bond from my client, Your Honor. She clearly is as I said, no significant criminal history other than this one arrest, which still has not been resolved. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Pretrial level 2 for the contributing to delinquency charge, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Amari Lear or the Lear family, stay away from the Calhoun Avenue address, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Your Honor, this is where my client is. My understanding is it's an apartment complex, and this is where my client lives with her 4 minor children.
Is there an apartment number for the Lear family, Miss?
I'll get that for you, Your Honor, and I'll
Okay,
put it in the
so-
chat.
Okay, so I'm not gonna make you stay away from your home, Miss Herring, but you can't have any contact with Miss Lee or her family. So if you see any of them, turn and go the other direction, okay?
Yes,
All right, good luck to you, ma'am.
Your Honor, you were going in and out, so I couldn't hear everything you were saying. What is the bond amount?
It is a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. That's 2 for the simple battery and 1 for the contributing to the delinquency. 1-day anger awareness, a stay away, no further contact, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor. And that concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes, enjoy the rest of your holiday, Ms. McLeod.
Thank you, Your Honor. You too.
Thank you.
Next, we have position 13, Miss George.
Good afternoon, Ms. George. You've been charged in case 24 CR 007586J with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. She has 5 cycles. The last arrest was November the 24th, 2019 in Fulton County for aggravated assault. There was no disposition for that arrest, and there are no convictions. She does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Yes, Ms. Huda.
Thank you, Your Honor. This did occur on November 8th. Officers were called to 761 North Central Avenue. That's the Skyline Laundromat. They got the call from the attendant, Mr. Johnson, who recognized the defendant and told her that she knew that she had a criminal trespass from June 18th of 2024. He asked her to leave and she refused. When he told her he would be calling 911, she did in fact leave the scene and was not there when police officers initially arrived. However, officers told Mr. Johnson to call them back if she came back, and she did. Approximately an hour later, she was in fact on the scene when officers did arrive back. The original case number for the criminal trespass was 24-P02625. Your Honor, we are asking for a $1,000 surety bond. Stay away from the Skyline Laundromat and no further contact with Mr. Johnson.
Ms. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor. This laundromat is in Ms. George's neighborhood. And right outside of it, there are some chairs where folks can sit. It was kind of her understanding and intention to sit by the chairs and kind of talk to folks, kind of like just an exercise in socialization a little bit. There's no allegations that Miss George was rude or caused a scene or anything like that. And she thought that in order to be asked to leave a location, she had to have committed a crime. I explained to her that that is not the case, that the owner of a location can ask for her to leave, and she has to obey that, stay away, and she understood. She is in no way malicious. She just, was mistaken. But she's not a threat to the community. She's been living in her home for a period of years. And I have reliable contact information for her. I am asking for a signature bond.
$2,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Skyline laundromat. No further contact with Mr. Johnson. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Ms. George, you cannot go back to that laundromat location. You can't go sit outside of it. You can't go inside of it. You can't go behind it, okay? Don't have any association with that laundromat. Otherwise, you're going to be right back where you are, and I'm not going to give you a signature bond next time, okay?
Okay.
All right. Good luck to you, Ms. George.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused, please?
Yes. Is that all we have at ACDC today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, have a good afternoon. We'll see you maybe tomorrow.
Your Honor,
Okay.
what was that last bond amount and what position was that?
That's position number 13, Ms. George. It was a $2,000 signature bond through the jail.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Next is going to be position number 23, Miss Ingrid Poulos.
Good afternoon, Ms. Toulos. You have been charged in, well, let me address everyone there since I haven't. Good afternoon, everyone in courtroom 2. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. You all have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We're providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their services. Ms. Toulos, you've been charged in case 24 CR 0076011Y with criminal trespass and damage to property. Is there a history, Ms. Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor, she has 50
Ms.
cycles.
Jackson, excuse me. I'm sorry, Ms. Jackson, go ahead.
Okay. She has 50 cycles. The last arrest was May the 26th, 2022 in Fulton County for a probation violation. She does appear to be on probation in Fulton County. The case number is 16 SC 140772 for identity theft fraud and theft of services. That disposition date was July the 10th, 2017, 3 years of confinement and 7 years of probation. In addition to that, she does appear to have outstanding hold, one out of Decatur, Georgia for larceny. The date on that warrant is February the 24th, 2024. And she does have prior felony convictions. One in 2010 for 2 counts of forgery in the first degree and 2 counts of financial identity fraud. And one in 2008 for theft of services. One in 2002 out of Texas for forgery. And she does have misdemeanor convictions. So one in 2015 out of DeKalb County for theft by shoplifting, and one in 2013 out of DeKalb County for false report of a crime. She does appear to meet the criteria for UJR a level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on the 10th of November at about 7 p.m. at the Hamilton E. Holmes MARTA station. The defendant broke the glass door bus panel of a MARTA bus there. She does have a substantial criminal history, but it is not this type. Based on the fact that she's currently being supervised, we'd ask for $1,000 surety in order to stay away from MARTA and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Rosenhuber.
Good afternoon, Judge Morrow. As far as Ms. Tulos goes, she has now been a Georgia resident for the past 50 years. She earned her master's degree in business administration. She does have two children she had two children who did unfortunately pass away. Judge, she's retired and currently receiving a pension. She was most recently an administrator at AARP, and she lives in Northwest Atlanta. As the court may be aware, she does have that violation of probation hold and the DeKalb hold. I believe the state suggested a $1,000 surety. We would request a signature bond for this criminal trespass case, but we'll defer to the court.
Okay. I'm going to research the whole $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. Stay away from or abide by all MARTA restrictions. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Tulos.
Your Honor, I apologize. I was unable to understand the bond you were going in and out.
$3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think your internet must be acting up, Judge, because you're kind of
Okay.
going in and out.
All right, well, we're just gonna have to deal with it. I don't see it happening on this side, so I don't mind if you all let me know when you can't hear me, and I'm happy to repeat it, but I'm doing what I can do. I shook it, which is probably the best that I'm able to do.
Okay.
So if it doesn't respond to shaking, then I'm out of luck. So y'all just let me know, okay?
Okay.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 1, Mr. Ashworth.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashworth. You've been charged in case 24 CR 007580G with reckless conduct. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
He has 2 cycles. The last arrest was October the 11th, 2024 with the City of Atlanta for DUI and driving while license suspended or revoked. He does appear to have an outstanding hold out of Marietta, Georgia for a failure to appear. I think that underlying charge is simple battery. The date on that warrant is January the 12th, 2022. And he has 1 misdemeanor conviction that was in 2024 for driving while license suspended or revoked. And he does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR level 2. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Tatiana?
Good afternoon, Judge. This incident took place on March 8th of 2022. The defendant has been a resident of North Carolina for a period during 2023. So the state's position is that the statute of limitations has been told in this matter and that this case is ripe for prosecution. This incident stems from a situation involving the defendant's infant child. He was holding his 4-month-old and dropped him on his head. And the officer noted that the defendant was high on some sort of opioid at the time because he was nodding off while talking to him. The x-rays of the child showed the baby suffered a skull fracture in addition to there being another older skull fracture that was healing as part of the x-ray, Your Honor. The DUI that happened on October 11th, he was unresponsive in a vehicle and the car was in drive but not moving. He had his foot on the brake, and it was the defendant and the child's mother that were in the car. Both were unresponsive. They received medication and woke up, and the hospital did confirm that they were both under the influence of fentanyl. So at this point, we would assume that DFACS is involved. The DUI does not indicate that the child was with them at this time, but certainly there's a concern for the child's safety here. We've not been in touch with mom today, and we are asking for, given the extent of the injuries, a $10,000 surety bond, Your Honor. No unsupervised contact with this child whatsoever. Follow any DFACS plans. no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And we're also asking for drug screening and an alcohol and drug evaluation and follow any recommended treatment. We did request this case be upgraded to a negligent cruelty to children in the second, and the DA's office declined it. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes, Your Honor. There's obviously a statute of limitations issue. This case is from March of 2022. I understand that the state is arguing that my client lived in the state of North Carolina in 2023. But there's still a lot of, I don't have any evidence of that. To address the incident itself, the baby was born quite early, and he had to be delivered with forceps. From there stemmed some injuries that included skull fractures. The parents had the baby for about 2 weeks before this incident happened. Since then, they have both given up rights to their child, and the child has been adopted by Mr. Ashworth's brother. The brother has been raising Mr. Ashworth's son. He does get to see the child, although quite infrequently. My client understands that he does have a drug problem, which he is addressing. He has been clean for about 5 weeks. He has a plan for when he gets out. He has a place to live. He has a very supportive father. He has a very supportive brother. He is no threat to the child, especially because he doesn't have any rights to the child. I'm not sure how or why this warrant just randomly surfaced, and why the state has decided to pursue it, especially because they were clearly unaware of the fact that Mr. Ashworth no longer has rights to this child. I am going to ask for a signature bond. He does not pose any risks to the child, and there is a strong case for a statute of limitations plea and bar in the future.
And Your Honor, my response to that would be that the statute of limitations code section is very clear that one of the exceptions to the statute of limitations is if the defendant is a resident of another state. We have performed a TLO on this individual, and he was a resident of North Carolina, according to that report, for a period of about 1.5 years. So we are well within the statute of limitations to prosecute. Additionally, the argument that he's been clean for 5 weeks is great. However, he's been incarcerated during this entire time, Your Honor. So we are insisting on some sort of screening or evaluation or treatment. Of course, when you don't have liberty and you can't go out and get drugs, then it's a lot easier to stay sober. And this has clearly been an ongoing issue for quite some time, given the allegations in this case in 2022 were that he was on opiates, and then this DUI just happened about 5 weeks ago, and he was confirmed to be on opiates at that point. And as far as the child's concerned, Your Honor, we would certainly argue that he's a danger to him. He's still very young, and we would ask for no unsupervised visitation of this child, especially given the fact he has no rights to the child at this time.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 good bond, alcohol drug evaluation and treatment if necessary, no unsupervised contact with the minor child, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Ashworth.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can I ask a question?
Welcome.
Can I ask a question?
Mr. Ashworth, I'll call after court, and then we can talk, okay?
Follow it. No, come on. No, don't lay down in the court. Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 5, Mr. Darrell Calloway,
Okay,
give him a second to come up.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Good morning, ma'am.
yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Calloway. You can have a seat, sir.
I apologize.
You're fine, sir. Mr. Calloway, you have been charged in case 24 CR 007592F with criminal trespass, possession or use of drug-related objects, and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history?
Yes, Your Honor, he has 118 cycles. The last arrest was December the 27th, 2023 in Fulton County for criminal trespassing, 2 counts of obstruction of an officer, and false statements or writings, and concealing facts or fraudulent documents in matter of government, and possession and use of drug-related objects. Some of those charges were null pros, the criminal trespassing, one of the obstructions of an officer, and false statements or writings, and concealed facts or fraudulent documents in matter of government, and the possession and use of drug-related objects. They were null pros on November the 4th, 2024. He did receive a felony conviction in 2024 for a felony obstruction, a suspended sentence. And he does have other prior felony convictions. One in 2012 for obstruction of an officer, an additional one in 2012 for possession of cocaine, one in 2009 for possession of cocaine, one in 2007 for criminal damage to property in the second degree. And he does have misdemeanor convictions and sentences, one in 2023 for criminal trespassing and theft by shoplifting. It's an additional one in 2023 for possession and use of drug-related objects and theft by shoplifting, one in 2020 for possession and use of drug-related objects. He received a nolo contendere sentence in 2020 for theft by shoplifting, received a nolo contendere sentence in 2019 for theft by shoplifting. It's an additional nolo contendere sentence in 2019 for possession and use of drug-related objects. It's one in 2017 for disorderly conduct, one in 2016 for disorderly conduct, one in 2013 for battery, additional one in 2013 for obstruction of an officer, one in 2012 for criminal trespassing. There's another one in 2012 for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. And he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident happened on the 10th at the 24/7 Food Mart at 5 Cleveland Avenue. Officers were flagged down by an employee at the location who was complaining of the defendant being there despite being arrested several times for criminal trespass at this location. The officer approached the defendant, and the defendant told him that he had been trespassed before. He was aware he wasn't supposed to be there. Began to walk away from the officer, refused commands to come back. The defendant tried to flee. The officer grabbed his arm and he resisted arrest. And a search incident to arrest found a crack pipe. Your Honor, his last arrest in state court was for trespassing at this location. He pled to that case in May because of the time he had served in the jail. There was no probation or anything of that sort. However, based on his own statements, Your Honor, he's well aware he's not supposed to be here, keeps returning. So based on the risk of reoffense, Judge, we're asking for a $500 surety bond for each count, total $1,500. Stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Yes, Your Honor. When I spoke to Mr. Calloway, he let me know that he did not know about the stay away warning. He does live in a home. He does do home improvements, landscaping, those kinds of small jobs when he can get them. He certainly wasn't behaving in any kind of way that showed any kind of aggression. He's not a threat to his community at all. I did speak to him. I let him know he cannot go back. that he's not allowed to go back. And Mr. Calloway let me know that he understood that he cannot come back. He doesn't have any funds. He wouldn't be able to make any sort of bond. So we would ask for a signature bond.
Okay, for each charge, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. Stay away from 5 Cleveland Avenue. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. I'm going to let you sign yourself out, Mr. Calloway, but if you go back to that location, you're going to be right back where you are, okay?
Mr. Morrow, I have to talk to you, please, sir.
Okay, so you're gonna be able to sign yourself out and go back to work, okay? So I'm just saying, stay away from that location, okay?
Yes, sir. Mr. Morrow, I do mechanic work. Within this mechanic work, we have sleeves. The sleeves, screws, bolts go through the sleeves, like putting on axles. This is
Mr.
what I.
Calloway,
Okay.
Mr. Calloway, I'll call you after court and then we can talk a little bit more, okay?
I'll be gone by then.
Today, ma'am.
Yeah, today. After court, I'll call you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Morrow, sir. I apologize, sir.
No, you're fine. Good luck to you, sir.
Come on, Callaway. We're gonna go sit over there. Sit right there in the
Thank
front.
y'all very much. Thank you, Ms.
Take
Wright.
your time. Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 25, Mr. Zachary, Lucario Zachary. Hey.
Good afternoon, Mr. Zachary. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007602D with theft by taking and criminal trespass. Is there a history? Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 6 cycles. The last arrest was October the 24th, 2024 in Clayton County for a failure to appear. He does appear to be on probation in Clayton County for theft by receiving stolen property. That disposition date was November the 5th, 2024, and the term is for 3 years. In addition to that, he appears to have an open case pending in Fulton County. And case number is 24 PI 005490 for 2 counts of theft by taking and giving false information to an officer. It's an additional open case appear to be pending in Fulton County. That case number is 24 SC 004638 for 3 counts of theft by taking and financial transaction card theft. It does appear to meet the criteria with for UJR level 3 with a parental co-signer. He's appeared to be 18 years of age. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident occurred on the 9th of November at 1325 Virginia Avenue. That's the Sonesta hotel that's at the airport there. Police were called when an individual who was unknown to them and the people working at that location around noon saw a male who they described as armed and trying to break into a room. Police responded, they reviewed surveillance and made contact with the defendant. He had a gun on his person. He did not have a room at the Sonesta. He told the police that he'd gone there to get access to Wi-Fi and therefore through that process get directions somewhere, and he'd just been walking around the location with his iPad. When asked why he was on the 8th floor, which is where he's seen on surveillance, he said he was trying to find out how to exit the location, obviously not from the 8th floor. He's seen on surveillance running down a hallway and into a stairwell. And he's also seen by employees there, housekeeping staff, Your Honor, going from room to room, looking into the room, looking at the housekeeping carts, looking for things arguably to steal. He took a purse, the property of one of the workers there. Her name's Itzel, Itzel is how you spell her first name, last name Hernandez, and had tossed it on the floor. On the 6th floor in the hallway. It had been rifled through and her money was missing. When police questioned him after he said he'd been trying to find the exit when he was on the 8th floor and that he was walking around trying to find Wi-Fi, he admitted that he grabbed the purse, but said he'd thrown it on the stairs. He does have 2 open cases, Your Honor. One of them is also at a hotel. Very similar. His only criminal history, although there are 6 cycles at this point and he's only 18, are all theft related. One of the cases in Superior Court, he had to have a production order to bring him over here from Clayton County because that's where he's been since he was arrested there for that open theft case that he's now serving on probation. So there's a concern for this continuing behavior. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor, to stay away from the location, the Sonesta at 1325 Virginia Avenue in East Point, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rosenhuber?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Zachary is just 18 years old. He's a lifelong Georgia resident. He's currently enrolled in Creekside High School. He's a senior. As well as going to school, he also works at a warehouse here in Atlanta. He does have an address in Rex, Georgia, that's in Clayton County, where he resides there with his mother, his brothers, and his sister. Judge, he currently, at least last I checked, he had a $1,000 bond on this case, so I would ask that the court not raise it. We understand there are concerns, and I did read the warrant, and I do know I understand where the state's coming from, but Judge, at this time, he's just charged with the theft by taking and the criminal trespass. If anything, Judge, we'd ask for it to be reduced to a signature bond through pretrial. Thank you.
Ms. Rosenhuber, have you been in touch with his mother?
I have not, Judge. I do have a phone number for her, though.
SAP calendar is going to be on November 26th. I'll be the judge on that calendar. I would like, I'm going to give him a good bond today, but we need to get a plan in place for him. And since we can't do that today, if you can have whoever is at SAP, if the mother's on the line, if they can start getting, some type of plan in place, I'll reconsider the bond at that time if he doesn't make it. But as for today, I'll leave the bond where it is, $500 good bond on each charge, makes for a total of $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the Sonesta Hotel on Virginia Avenue. It also concerns me about this gun on person simply because most of our orders say no guns. So I'm sure that the Superior Court order said the same thing. So he should not, and he should not be having guns on his person. That's a concern. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. So if you'll get with the attorneys at SAP so that we can discuss this, as I said, Ms. Rosenhuber, we'll do it at that time.
I'll be sure to do that, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good luck to you, Mr. Zachary.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 10, Mr. Stanley Farley. Come on, Farley. You're gonna sit right here, Farley.
Good afternoon, Mr. Farley. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007585G with theft by taking. Is there a history? Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 11 cycles. The last arrest was August the 25th, 2017 in Fulton County for theft by taking. That charge was dismissed on November the 29th, 2017. He does have misdemeanor convictions. It's one in 2012 for criminal trespassing, one in 2004 for criminal trespassing, and one in 2003 out of DeKalb County for criminal trespassing. Nothing in addition. Oh, he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 2. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident did occur back on July 15th of 2024. Police were called to 2900 Camp Creek Parkway. Once they were there, they talked to Shatavia Wrights. Ms. Wright told them that an Amazon package that was delivered to her front porch was taken by an unknown black male. The theft was caught on her security camera. She told officers that she believes that the alleged thief does in fact live in the complex. Officers took the video to the leasing office, where employees of the leasing office did identify him as Mr. Stanley Farley, and he resides at the same location, however, in apartment F6. Your Honor, we are recommending a $1,000 surety bond, a stay away from Ms. Wright's apartment location. So she is in the B building, apartment B, at the 2900 Camp Creek Parkway address. We're asking for no further contact with Ms. Wright, and we're asking for no drugs or alcohol or weapons while out on bond.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Wright. I see you on the line. If you wish to address the court, you certainly don't have to, but if you wish to address the court, I'll need for you to adjust your camera so I can see your face. Okay, and raise your right hand for me if you'd like to testify. Do you swear affirm? Okay.
I don't wish to testify. I just.
If you like to say something, I'm happy to have you here. If you'd like to say anything to the court, this is your opportunity to do so. You certainly don't have to, but if you wish to, I'll have to swear you in, okay?
Okay.
Okay, would you like to address?
No, thank you.
Okay, well, we're happy to have you here this afternoon, Ms. Wright.
Thank you.
And Ms. Anna Wright.
Yes, Your Honor. I spoke to Mr. Farley. He let me know that he has absolutely no recollection of this ever happening. He doesn't know who Miss Wright is. If he needs to stay away from her apartment, that is not a problem. We would just ask for a signature bond. He wouldn't have funds to bond out otherwise.
Okay, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further contact with Ms. Wright. Stay away from her apartment building on the Camp Creek Parkway, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You have a good day ahead. Say it again?
That was 2,000?
Yes.
Thank you. Come on, Father. Good job. Good job, Father. Come on, come on. Come on, Mr. Father. Let's go. Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 2, Mr. Casey Battle.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Battle. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007581F with theft by shoplifting. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 8 cycles. The last arrest was March 1st, 2009 in Fulton County for obstruction of an officer and the sale of marijuana and possession of Schedule 1 controlled substance and possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute. And he does have prior felony convictions. One in 2009 for obstruction of an officer and possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute, and possession of Schedule 1 controlled substance, and possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute. And there are other felony convictions. One in 2002 for possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute, and possession of controlled substance. And there was one in 2001 for possession of controlled substance with the intent to distribute. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR a level 1. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Your Honor, this incident happened November 9th at the Target, 3535 Peachtree Road. The defendant checked out and bought other items and then concealed men's clothing and home good items in a Target bag without paying for them. Total was $39.50. It's been a long time since his last arrest. Signature bond, jail, stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Any objection to any of that, Ms. Wright?
Not gonna fight that, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Target on Peachtree Road. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Battle.
Sorry, technical. You're gonna go to the back. Next, Your Honor, is gonna be position number 3, Mr. Malik Boston.
Good afternoon, Mr. Boston. You've been charged in case 24 CR 007582Y with theft by taking. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor, he has 13 cycles. The last arrest was February the 18th, 2020, for a failure to appear, theft by taking. And he does appear to have an outstanding hold out of Dunwoody, Georgia, for a failure to appear. The date on that warrant is November the 17th, 2020. And he received first offender treatment for 2 different cases out of Fayette County in 2018. For the first case, the charges were entering an automobile. The case was sealed March the 24th, 2023. And the second case was in 2018 as well out of Fayette County for theft by taking and entering an automobile. Has the same seal date, March the 24th, 2023. And he does have misdemeanor sentences. He received a nolo contendere sentence in 2019 for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. And he received a nolo contendere sentence in 2018 out of Clayton County for driving without a valid license. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Your Honor, he also was picked up for a burglary, and that case is open. I believe it was the same time as this arrest. The case number is 24 PI 008279. This incident happened on October 13th. The Party of 5 restaurant at 1644 Virginia Avenue. The defendant is, or presumably was, an employee of the location. He went into the manager's office and is seen on camera stealing several envelopes of cash. Total stolen was $1,106. We're requesting a $2,000 surety bond, stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Your Honor, I believe Mr. Boston was in Superior Court when we were doing interviews. I did not get a chance to speak to him. However, if he's eligible for a signature bond, and I believe I heard that he was, I would ask for a signature bond for him.
And Your Honor, our objection to that, of course, is he has several failure to appears in open cases of a similar nature and priors.
Okay, it'll be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. Stay away from Party of 5 on Virginia Avenue. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Mr. Boston, I'm going to allow you to sign your own bond, but if you don't show up for your next court appearance, they're going to put a warrant out for you. Okay? Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, some driving charges. Were those NOD?
Yes, those were NOD'd for statute of limitations.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I look at another spotlight right down the street. Don't talk. Next is going to be position number 4, Mr. Curtis Brooks.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brooks. You've been charged in case 24 CR 007597C with fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, willful obstruction of law enforcement officers, tampering with evidence, driving while your license was suspended or revoked, abandonment of controlled substance, and failure to obey a stop sign. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 15 cycles. The last arrest was July the 29th, 2024 in Clayton County for aggravated assault and battery, family violence, and false imprisonment and criminal trespassing. That case appears to be still pending in Clayton County. Also, he appears to have an open case pending in Fulton County for possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. That case number is 24 PI 005311. And he does have prior misdemeanor convictions, one in 2020 out of Cobb County for bail jumping, an additional one in 2020 out of Cobb County for theft by shoplifting, and one in 2017 for driving while license suspended or revoked. And he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Stesiano?
Your Honor, this is a bit of an interesting situation. So the warrants in this case, we've accused the 6 warrants that are on the jailing screen, but if you read the warrants, there's actually supposed to be another warrant for possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. And based on what pretrial says, he also has an open case for that. However, we don't have the warrants on that case yet, so this case may end up being transferred once that warrant's obtained. We've reached out to the officer and tried to figure out what's going on, and I haven't been able to get a hold of him yet today. So I will give you the facts of everything that happened, and then the charges. I believe there's 3 other charges that we don't have warrants for, and so those at this point aren't accused, just so you're aware. This incident happened on November 9th. Officers were patrolling in the area of Meadow Park Drive and Old Hapeville Road when they observed a driver on a moped who failed to stop at a flashing stop sign at the intersection of Bromack Drive and Macon Drive. The officer tried to initiate a traffic stop, activated his lights, and despite several attempts to pull the defendant over, the defendant refused and continued driving. He ultimately lost control of the moped and crashed and fled on foot. Officers noted that at the time he was wearing a distinct hoodie with a unique design, and they watched him enter apartment 9 at 2602 Old Hapeville Road. Officers in hot pursuit at that point entered the apartment. The defendant had removed his hoodie and concealed it, so he could not be identified, but the officers noted that he was sweating profusely like he had just been running. They also noted that he had road rash consistent with the crash that had just taken place. Officers arrested the defendant and then went back to the moped, which was abandoned right near an elementary school at Cleveland Avenue Elementary School Zone. And officers found 5 grams of marijuana, several small bills, and a scale. So before you, Your Honor, for today, we're requesting a split bond. We're requesting 1,000 surety on the fleeing, and driving on while license suspended. We're requesting a $500 surety on the willful obstruction, and then an SOB on the remaining charges. No driving without a valid license. He has several priors for driving on a suspended, Your Honor, and a moped. You do have to be licensed with a regular driver's license to operate a moped in Georgia. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol. Thank you.
Ms. Jackson, before I go to Ms. Wright, are you still with me, Ms. Jackson?
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Not right now, Mr. Brooks. I'm sorry, Ms. Jackson, did I get your recommendation? If I did, I didn't make a note of it. Can you tell me again, please?
A UJR, a level 3.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ms. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor. When I spoke to Mr. Brooks about this case, he let me know that he was awakened in the middle of the night by officers that basically broke down his door and asked him if they could detain him because they were trying to find whoever the suspect was. And this suspect had run into the general building area of where Mr. Brooks lives. He was home with his partner and their 2-month-old baby. He doesn't have a moped. He doesn't have any kind of vehicle. I do believe that mopeds have to have license plates. And I'm not sure why we don't have any information as to who owned the moped or who the moped was registered to. I'm sure that'll come with discovery. I would ask, Your Honor, that we follow pretrial's recommendation of a UJR level 3.
Okay, for each of the charges, it'll be a $500 signature bond through pretrial level 3. That makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. No driving a vehicle that needs to be for you to have a license without having a valid license. Okay, I'll give you a signature bond, Mr. Brooks. Ms. Wright can call you at another time. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to get out and come back and fight these charges at a later time, and Ms. Wright can answer any questions later, okay?
I mean, Your Honor, I thank you, but I was, like I told Ms. Wright, I was in my house, the man knocked on our door.
Okay, Mr. Brooks, you might not want to fight your case right now because everything you say is being taken down. So let Ms. Wright speak on your behalf, and going forward, I'm not sure if he'll qualify, but let us know if he qualifies for your continued services. Okay. All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Brooks.
Your Honor, I'm sorry to
Yes.
go back, but position number 3, he's stating that he works 2 doors away from the Stairway store. So he doesn't know what to do at this point. And this is Mr. Boston.
Right. So Mr. Boston, you need to stay away from party of 5. So where do you work? Where does he work?
I work at Buttermilk Biscuit.
Where do you work?
Buttermilk Biscuit on West Virginia Avenue.
Okay, yeah, I know where Party of 5 is, and I know where the biscuit place is. So those are far enough apart. There's a big parking lot. So as long, don't walk in front of Party of 5. Party of 5 has at least another business between itself and where you're working at present. So just stay away from the Party of 5, okay?
Sure.
All right. I'm not going to keep you away. I'm not going to keep you from working, sir.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 6, Mr. Giovanni Campbell.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I did not get a chance to speak to him at all. Mr. Campbell, my understanding was that he was a behavior reset. So if we can hold off on him, and when we do one of Miss Rosenhoover's cases, maybe I can speak to him.
I think he spoke. Who did you speak to? I think he spoke to you, Ms. Wright.
Are you possibly referring to Tutman? Because I was on Saturday and there was only one reset and it wasn't Mr. Campbell.
It's not Tubman. She spoke to Mr. Campbell. His name is.
I did. He was in the back of my notes. My deepest apologies. I'm so sorry.
You're okay. You're okay.
Okay. All right. So, good afternoon, Mr. Campbell. You have been charged in case 24CR007595A with driving under the influence of alcohol less safe, failure to have a license on person, tampering with traffic signals or signs, illegal stop, stand, or park where prohibited, impeding traffic flow, and criminal attempt to commit a misdemeanor. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
He has 1 prior cycle. He was arrested. The last arrest was February the 24th, 2024 in Albany, Georgia, for criminal trespassing. There was no disposition for that arrest. He appears to meet the criteria for UJR at level 2. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident took place on the 10th around 3:30 in the morning. Capitol Police were patrolling around the Capitol, and while approaching the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Jesse Hill Drive, The defendant was parked in the middle of the crosswalk and blocking the flow of traffic. He was also putting a stop sign in his trunk. He then closed the trunk and tried to drive away. However, the officer then initiated a traffic stop. He told the officer that he took the stop sign so he could sell it for scrap metal. The officer immediately noticed an odor of alcohol in the defendant's breath and noted bloodshot and watery eyes. The defendant admitted to drinking a glass of wine earlier that day. He did agree to do field sobriety tests and failed them for the most part. He refused the breath and blood test. The state's requesting 1,000 surety on the DUI, Your Honor, and a SOB on the remaining charges. No driving without a valid license, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Ms. Deschiano, the criminal attempt to commit a misdemeanor, that's taking the stop sign?
Yes.
And the stop sign was an active stop sign that was regulating an intersection somewhere?
Your Honor, the warrant doesn't state specifically, but he said it was the stop sign at the intersection of MLK Drive and Jesse Hill Jr. Drive.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Campbell is 26 years old. He is the main cook for Wingspot. There's a lot of facts going on with this case. He does not have any convictions. I would ask that Your Honor follow the recommendation from pretrial for UJR level 2.
Okay, this will be a split bond. For the DUI, it's $1,000 good bond. For the criminal attempt to commit a misdemeanor, it's also going to be $1,000 good bond. Makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. For each of the other charges, it'll be a $250 SOB through pretrial. That'll make it a total of $1,000 signature bond through pretrial. It'll be level 2. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Good luck to you, Mr. Campbell.
You go to the third level. Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 8, Mr. Jonathan Crawford.
Good afternoon, Mr. Crawford. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007583E with simple battery family violence. Is there a history? Ms. Jackson?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. He has a total of 6 cycles. The last arrest was April the 28th, 2024, with the City of Atlanta for driving without a valid license. That case appeared to be still pending. There was no case number. It looks more like a reference number. Would you like that, Your Honor?
No, that's fine, Ms. Jackson. Thank you.
Okay. He does have a misdemeanor conviction and a sentence. One in 2008 out of South Carolina for driving without a valid license and DUI. And he received a nolo contendory sentence in 2006 out of Richmond County, Georgia, for theft by shoplifting. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Yes, Ms. Huda.
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident did occur on November 9th. Police were called to 213 16th Street in the city of Atlanta, whereupon they did make contact with Miss Felicia Allgood. Ms. Allgood told officers that the two of them were in a verbal dispute, which continued when he poured out her wine. That then also caused him to tell her, "You're going to make me hit you." He then did grab her by the neck and throw her into the wall. They do have a child together. The office has made contact with Ms. Allgood. We are asking for no further contact, a stay away from 213 16th Street, a $1,500 surety bond, and a one-time police escort to get his items, no drug, alcohol, or weapons, all out on bond. And we would ask at this time that you would sound for the victim, Your Honor.
If Ms. Felicia Allgood is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Does not appear so. Ms. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Crawford is an artist. He has 4 children total. And only the 11-month-old baby lives with him. Because of his flexibility with his schedule, he is the primary caregiver to their baby. He takes care of her all the time. The complaining witness has been struggling since the baby was born. And she has been engaging in a lot of alcohol use. She had started acting erratically earlier in the day. While the baby was crying, she decided to go into their garage to get coats. Mr. Crawford identified this as her starting to kind of spiral. He went upstairs, he got rid of her wine, took the 11-month-old baby, and went into his work office, so that he could isolate himself and the child. And then she called the police. Next thing he knows, he's got officers at the door. I did speak to him about the reality and the likelihood that there would be a stay away. And because he has not legitimized that there wouldn't be any rights to the child, he let me know that that's something that he has already begun to look into. He understands that he needs legitimation before he's able to have contact with his child again. I also spoke to him about how Your Honor will likely allow him to go back with a police escort, so he's well prepared for those aspects. Other than that, Your Honor, I would ask for a signature bond for Mr. Crawford.
Okay. It will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Allgood. Stay away from the 16th Street address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Okay. It looks like he has a question, Ms. Wright.
Your Honor, Mr. Crawford, I will call after and then we can speak. But as for right now, you've got a signature bond. You'll be able to go home.
Okay. So while we're before the next one, if we could, I'm not sure if the add-on has been, if an accusation has been filed yet or not, but once you get the accusation number, Ms. Bridgewater, can you please take a moment to send that to me so I can get it back as soon as possible? It's being requested that I do that. If that's something that we can get done.
I was told to just put the warrant number on the order, and I've sent a text to Miss Allen to send me the warrant number. And once I receive that, I can send it to you so that you could sign it.
Okay, so as soon as I get it, I'll sign it and get it back to you all. All right, Norris?
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Who do we have next?
This is going to be position number 9. And this is going to be Mr. Robert Davis.
Good afternoon, Mr. Davis. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007584A with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Your Honor, he does not have any prior arrests on file. He appears to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Huda.
Thank you, Your Honor. This did occur on November 9th. Officers from the Roswell Police Department were called to 100 Saddle Creek Court. Upon arrival, they did speak to Elizabeth, I'm going to Shripsema, Schripsema, who told officers that they'd been both drinking throughout the evening. And while he was attempting to grab his keys, he did grab her arms and hold her against the kitchen wall. They do reside together at this location. Your Honor, I do believe that the victim is on the Zoom call. We are asking for a $1,000 signature bond. We did speak to her earlier. She is requesting no further violent contact. The state would also request 4 hours of anger management and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shripsima, if you wish to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
The officers misread the whole situation, and I do not agree with why they took him. And I told them that they should not have taken him, and they did not even give him a chance. He couldn't even put on his shoes. So therefore, he was no threat to me. He was just upset because I took his keys.
Okay, and did you have to call the police, ma'am?
I did not call the police.
Okay, how did
He
the
did.
police? Okay, he called the police. Has
Yes.
this ever happened before?
No, sir.
Okay, and you want him home?
Yes, do. Yes, I do.
And you're not afraid of him?
No, I'm not.
Okay, thank you for being here this afternoon, ma'am. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Ms. Wright?
Your Honor, I believe the state's asking for a signature bond, and I would agree with that.
Okay. It'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Shipsima, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you both.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 11 and position number 12. Mr. Jonathan Freeman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Freeman. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007590C with simple battery family violence, and in case 24 CR 007591C with escape and simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, he has 13 cycles. The last arrest was February the 12th, 2022 in Fulton County for driving while license suspended or revoked. He does have prior felony convictions, one in 2012 out of Clayton County for entering an automobile and theft by taking, and one in 2009 for entering an automobile and theft by taking, and one in 2007 for entering an automobile. He does have misdemeanor sentences and convictions. He received a nolo contendere sentence in 2022 for driving while license suspended or revoked. This one in 2009 out of DeKalb County for obstruction of an officer. This one in 2006 out of DeKalb County for theft by receiving stolen property. And he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR a level 2. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Suda.
Yes, Your Honor. So the incident at position 11 did occur back on August 20th of 2024. Officers responded to 1003 Washington Street in Southwest Atlanta, apartment number 8, for domestic. Upon arrival, they spoke to Brittany Chambers, who said that the two of them were arguing because he was being loud and she didn't want him to wake their shared daughter. He told her to leave, and when she started to gather her belongings, he slapped her across the face. She went outside and called police. Police did respond. He refused to open the door. And so because he was identified, they put a warrant out for his arrest. Fast forward to position 12, when again, police were called to the general location on November 9th of 2024. In this incident, they were called by a neighbor witness, Miss Sheila Swanigan. She told police that she resides at 1019 Washington Street, and she witnessed, again, Ms. Chambers and Mr. Freeman fighting. Ms. Chambers came to her house to escape the defendant, but Mr. Freeman came into Ms. Swanigan's apartment, grabbed Ms. Chambers by the hair, and dragged her out of the apartment. Ms. Chambers was unable to run away from him. After Mr. Freeman was arrested, he was transported to the jail where he was refused for medical reasons. While en route to Grady, he managed to maneuver his cuffs from the back to the front. And when the officer opened the door, he did run from Armstrong Street to Gilmer Street, where the officer was ultimately able to recapture him. Your Honor, our recommendation at position number 11 is a $2,500 good bond, a stay away from 1003 Washington Street Southwest, apartment number 8, and no further contact with Brittany Chambers. At position number 12, we're requesting a $5,000 total good bond, $2,500 at each count. Again, a stay away from 1003 Washington Street, apartment 8. No further contact with either Brittany Chambers or, in this case, Sheila Swanigan, who is the witness, Your Honor. And at the appropriate time, I would ask that you sound for the victim, Miss Brittany Chambers.
If Miss Brittany Chambers is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so. Ms. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Freeman and the complaining witness don't have a very peaceful relationship. Mr. Freeman is the primary caregiver of their 9-month-old child. He's the one that stays home and takes care of the baby. At this time, or as of the latest arrest, they were having an argument about the complaining witness not wanting or not really helping with the baby. She went outside, she left to smoke a cigarette, and he locked her out for the safety of himself and the child. Eventually, officers came and arrested him. He doesn't know who this neighbor is. He knows that there are complaints because their fights do get loud. She gets very, very loud. He is currently working temp jobs, but he does have a permanent job that would start on Wednesday, working at the Quick Trip Distribution Center in Ellenwood. Mr. Freeman has not legitimized his daughter. I had that same discussion with him about the importance of doing so, and he does understand that. Pre-trial mentioned that he's eligible for a level 2 UJR, and I would ask that Your Honor follow that recommendation.
Okay, for the position 11, the simple battery, family violence, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Brittany Chambers, stay away from the Washington Street address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. As far as the child goes, if Ms. Chambers wants him to have contact, there will be only third-party transfer. So if he is keeping the child and helping out with that child, I'll allow that to stay in place. But Mr. Freeman, you can have no contact with Ms. Chambers. Therefore, if you're going to see the child or take care of that child, you're going to have a third party intervene and facilitate that. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. For position 12, for the escape, it'll be a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. For the simple battery, a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2 makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further contact with Ms. Swanson as well as Ms. Chambers, and all of the other stipulations as in position number 11.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Good luck to you, Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Your
Excuse
Honor.
me, Your Honor. Oh, I'm sorry. Can
Yes.
you read your text, please? I sent you
No,
in the
it's not
chat.
on.
Okay. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes, Miss Wright, you want to address him?
Mr. Freeman, please
It's
don't
my
speak.
apartment. It's my apartment, Your Honor.
Well, if she lives in that apartment, then she can continue to live there. If she's living somewhere else, Mr. Freeman, then you can live there. But as long as she's living there or in any way resides there, then you can't be there. Okay.
Your Honor.
All right. So if she finds another place to go, then you're certainly welcome to go back there. But you cannot be around Ms. Chambers at the present time, and I wouldn't want you to violate your bond by being around her. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next,
I only have. Let me answer Ms. Bridgewater's questions. I only have one charge. Ms. Bridgewater is saying that for the add-on there were 2 charges. Are there 2 charges, Ms. Allen?
Yes, there are 2 warrants, one for obstruction and one for simple battery on a law enforcement officer.
Okay, I did not get the obstruction, so, all right, so does that make it clear, Ms. Bridgewater?
Okay, so do you?
Okay, and so, well, it'll be, I guess, 500 on each.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I assumed that, but I didn't want to.
Okay,
I needed
no, you're,
clarity on it.
okay, you're fine, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, who do we have now?
Position 14, Mr. Hardiman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hardiman. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007587A with battery family violence. Is there a history?
Your Honor, he does not have any prior arrest on file. He does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition.
Okay, Ms. Huda?
Your Honor, on November 9th of 2024, officers did respond to 2740 Lawrence Circle in Southwest Atlanta, whereupon they did speak to Joanne Hardman, who told officers that they were in a verbal fight because she wanted him to remove a box while he was watching college football. He then pinned her against the fridge and choked her with both of his hands, stating, "Stay out of my way or I'm going to knock you out next time." Officers did observe bruising to her neck from the attack. Your Honor, the state is recommending a $1,500 surety bond, no further contact with Joanne Hardiman, and a stay away from 2740 Lawrence Circle, Southwest Atlanta, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. At the appropriate time, we would ask that you sound for the victim.
If Joanne Hardiman is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so.
Yes, sir.
Hold on, Mr. Hardiman. I'm asking for Mrs. Hardiman. Has your office spoken with her, Ms. Huda?
We were not able to make contact with her, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ms. Rosenhuber.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Hardiman is 89 years old. As we heard, this is his first arrest. The address on file is the incident location. This occurred allegedly at their home, their shared home. He has been a Georgia resident his entire life. He does have children and a sister that live in Georgia. He's currently receiving Social Security benefits. He's retired from IBM. He did earn his bachelor's degree from Clark College. That's in Southwest Atlanta. He earned that in business administration. He did advise, I explained to him that the court may issue a stay away from the home, and he advised that he would probably be able to live with his brother, Franklin Hardiman, here in Atlanta, Georgia. Judge, having not spoken with the victim myself, I can't attest to whether or not she wishes to have no further violent contact, but given the fact that this is his first arrest and we're just at the first appearance stage, I would request a signature bond for him.
It'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Hardeman at this time. Stay away from the Lawrence Circle address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings, no drugs, alcohol, weapons. While out on bond, Ms. Rosenhoover, if you do speak with Ms. Hardeman and she wishes to have contact, given that this is his first arrest and his age, I'm certainly willing to modify the bond once someone speaks with her, and if that's what her desire is. And if I didn't say, a one-time escort with law enforcement.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Hardeman has his hand up, Ms. Rosenhoover.
I'd like to make a comment on that,
Miss-
sir.
Mr. Hardeman, I would advise that you don't speak at this time. If you have a specific question about the order of the court, he gave you a signature bond, so you'll be able to sign yourself out, okay? If you have a different question, I'll be able to answer that for you after court's over.
You know, all I was saying is that I live in this house since 72. And when I married her, my house was paid for. And this incident was a verbal thing and.
Okay, Mr. Hardeman. Talk to Ms. Rosenhoover about that, okay? Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 16, Mr. Reginald Jones.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007593B with theft by shoplifting and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
He has 45 cycles. The last arrest was October the 27th, 2024, with the city of Atlanta for criminal trespassing. There's no disposition for that arrest. He does have prior felony convictions. One in 2011 out of Walton County, Georgia, for theft by shoplifting. One in 2010 out of Jasper County, Georgia, for criminal damage to property in the second degree and burglary. One in 2004 for burglary. And one in 1998 out of Newton County for theft by taking. And he does have misdemeanor convictions. One in 2024 out of DeKalb County for criminal trespassing. One in 2017 out of Walton County for theft by taking. One in 2014 out of Monroe, Georgia for possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and 2 counts of disorderly conduct. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. On November 10th, officers from Atlanta were called to 3535 Peachtree Road, which is a target. Once upon arrival, they spoke to loss prevention, who said that he had detained a man for taking 4 boxes of wine and drinking them in the back of the store before trying to leave. They did say that he had been criminally trespassed before. In fact, he was released on 10/22 from the jail for a criminal trespass time served, and that was the Piedmont Road target. Your Honor, this is actually his 5th shoplifting. He has 3 prior from the 80s, and then the Walton County conviction as well. However, the district attorney's office did decline to accept this one because of the age of the previous shopliftings. We are recommending a $3,000 surety bond, $1,500 on each, and a stay away from all targets.
Hey, Ms. Rosenhoover.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Jones is a lifelong Georgia resident. He made it to the 10th grade and then later earned his GED. Judge, he did advise me that he is residentially challenged and that he does suffer from some substance abuse issues. I think that's clear from even the warrant. He advised me that he's unable to make any kind of bond. And so we understand if the court needs to set some sort of surety bond, but he will not be able to make it.
Does he have anywhere that he gets his mail, Ms. Rosenhoover?
He wasn't able to give me an address. He does have an aunt here in Georgia, but he's advised he is not able to stay with her.
I would like him to have a social worker visit to assist with housing. At this time, it's going to be a $250 good bond on each charge. Makes for a total of a $500 good bond. Stay away from all targets. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. A social worker visit to assist with housing and anything else that Mr. Jones might need. If he does not get out, Mr. Rosenhoover, would you please have the SAP attorneys report to me on November 26th, and I will reconsider this bond if he's not out by that time, if we can get him some services that will help him.
Will do,
Okay.
Judge. Thank you.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Jones.
Next is position number 17, Mr. McQuitter.
Good afternoon, Mr. McQuitter. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007603E with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
He had 6 cycles. The last arrest was April the 23rd, 2023 in LaGrange, Georgia for a DUI. He does appear to have an outstanding hold out of Hamilton, Georgia for a probation violation. The date on that warrant is August the 12th, 2024. And he received a nolo contendere sentence in 2023 out of Harris County, Georgia for a non-fingerprintable offense. And he appears to meet the criteria for UJR level 1. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you. That non-fingerprintable offense in 2023 was a DUI reduced to reckless. This is an incident that occurred on the 10th of November at about 6:30 in the morning. Police were called to 2455 Thornton Drive. There they spoke to the victim. Her name is Brittany Robertson. We have not been able to get in touch with her yet this morning, but have left her messages if you'd sound for her when it's time. She reports that she and the defendant lived together. She was seen to have bruising on her neck. She said that they argued because she found explicit text messages and images on the defendant's phone. During this argument, he lunged at her and then got on top of her and put both of his hands around her neck. She said she was able to free herself and call 911. She reported that she did not lose consciousness, but said that the defendant was under the influence of alcohol. It's noted in the police reports that he appeared impaired to police as well. The defendant admitted the same reason for the altercation, but denied any physical contact. When asked about how the victim possibly got these bruises around her neck, he said it was from consensual sexual activity that day. We'd asked for a $5,000 surety, Your Honor. No contact with Mrs. Brittany Robertson. Stay away from that location or wherever she may live or work, and have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you. And if you'd sound for Ms. Robertson.
Okay, if Ms. Brittany Robertson is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so. Ms. Rosenhoover?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. McQuitter has resided here in Georgia for the past 5 years. He did complete some college at both Alabama and Alabama State universities. He's currently enrolled in a technical degree in a technical college, earning his technical degree with an electrical company. He's working through an apprentice program to complete that. He has extended family here in Georgia as well. Judge, I did explain to him that since the incident location is the same as his address on file, he will likely need to find somewhere else to go. He told me that wasn't going to be a problem, that he has friends he could stay with, or he can move while this case is pending. He has no issue with the complete stay away from this individual. Judge, we'd request that the bond amount not exceed $2,000. Thank you.
It's going to be a 5-day bond, pre-trial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Robertson. stay away from the Thornton Drive address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. McWhitter.
Judge, would you please repeat the bond amount you were going in and out?
$5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1.
Thank you.
Let's see,
I'm
Ms.
sorry, Judge.
Strong?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. I was just asking, did you receive my email with the bond order?
I've returned it. I was.
Oh, okay.
Would you check and see if you've gotten it from me?
Yes, sir. Give me one moment.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Good afternoon, sir. Who do we have with us?
Mustafa Miller. This is gonna be position number 18, Mr. Miller.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Miller.
Good afternoon, Judge Eric.
Mr. Miller, you've been charged in case 24 CR 007589E with criminal trespass, okay? Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. This is going to be a bond surrender. He has 43 cycles. The last arrest was August the 22nd, 2024 in Fulton County for criminal trespassing. And he was out on a signature bond on that charge. That case number is 23 CP 220206. He does have prior felony convictions. One in 2022 out of Florida for possession, was a weapon offense. And another one in 2019 out of Florida for possession of cocaine. One in 2008 out of Florida for possession of cocaine. And he does have misdemeanor convictions. One in 2023 for theft by shoplifting and possession and use of drug-related objects. One in 2017 out of Florida for obstruction of an officer. One in 2008 out of Florida for criminal trespassing. One in 2007 out of Florida for criminal trespassing. Nothing in addition. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 3, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is from the 9th of November. At about 4:30 in the morning, police were called to the Chevron gas station at 490 Whitehall Street, Southwest. It was reported there by the clerk that the defendant had been asked to leave, had been criminally trespassed previously. That would be November the 3rd, and that he was sitting in front of the doorway, impeding people's entry and exit into the location. You did just hear that this is not a new behavior for the defendant. We'd be asking for $1,000 surety to stay away from the location at 490 Whitehall, the Chevron, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
The other bond that he was on was.
Looks like it was out of Superior Court.
Oh, okay.
I'm going
All right,
to
thank you.
make sure. Yes.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Rosenhuber.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Miller is 40 years old. He's resided here in Georgia for the past 3 years. He made it to the 8th grade. Judge, he advised that he is not able to make any kind of bond. I didn't see, at least looking at Odyssey on my side, I did not see that this was a bond surrender case. I think this is the first time he's been heard on this particular case, but I could be mistaken. Judge, I would ask for a pretrial bond, signature bond through pretrial for this one. Thank you.
Have a social worker visit so that we can assist him with anything that he might need so that he doesn't keep coming here. It's going to be a $250 good bond. Stay away from the Chevron on Whitehall Street. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond, and a social worker visit to assist, if necessary, with housing or anything of that nature. All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Miller. Thank you, Ms. Rosen.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 19, Mr. Saunders.
Good afternoon, Mr. Saunders. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007600J with battery family violence and simple battery family violence. Is there a history?
Yes, Your Honor, he has 2 cycles. The last arrest was November the 9th, 2024 in Douglas County for a DUI. There was no disposition for that arrest, and there are no convictions listed. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJRA Level 1. Nothing in addition.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This young man is on probation currently for that DUI. The incident in front of you is from the 9th of November at 1678 Howell Mill Road. Police were called by a bystander at about 6 in the morning. The 911 call was to the Quick Trip there at the location. They reported the 911 caller, who's not of any relationship to the individuals in this case, reported witnessing the victim. Her name is Jalea Lopez, being strangled by the defendant, that they were parked in the pump lane. I think it was 15. Surveillance was obtained. It showed the defendant assaulting the victim. It showed him walk away as he put her into the car after assaulting her by grabbing her neck. He then returned a short time later and was seen to be restraining her or holding her down with his body. The victim on the scene and the defendant both stated that nothing had happened. The victim, Mrs. Lopez, was seen to have visible bruising on her neck, and there was a scratch seen on the face of the defendant. Mrs. Lopez reported that she bruises easily. It's very clear that she's being put in what would be described as a chokehold on surveillance camera footage. These individuals have been in touch at the jail and have discussed what happened in detail. And that's also all I'll say at that point. We have been in touch with Ms. Lopez, who says they've known each other for 2 years. They've dated for a period of time, but have no children. They have no history, and she, of course, is not afraid of him, but that might be because she's talked to him maybe 24 times since he was arrested. We'd ask for a $5,000 surety, Your Honor. No contact with Mrs. Lopez. Stay away from wherever she may live or work, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. He does have a 2017 entering auto case here out of Fulton County. He completed pretrial intervention on that case and then recently got that DUI. The concern for the state, Your Honor, is continued violence against the same victim, tampering or harassment, certainly influencing, which is ongoing now. And if you would sound for Mrs. Lopez, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Lopez, I see you on the line. If you wish to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
I definitely don't witness an ongoing cycle of violence from RJ. I call him RJ. I don't fear for any type of violence with him. Yeah, I mean, I wish he wasn't in this position right now. I don't feel the need to press any charges against him, or I don't have any, ill intentions toward him. So this is not an ongoing thing. I don't foresee him coming and retaliating, and there's no us talking on the phone and he's trying to force me to, speak on his behalf. That's fully, from my heart and from my mind. So
tell me what happened on the 9th.
There was a slight verbal disagreement. I mean, we both speak with our hands. I wasn't abused. I wasn't fearing anything. There was no much physical contact. I get pretty loud when I'm upset, so he wanted me to be quiet, but there was no abuse going on.
Well, what was going on? You all were at a Quick Trip?
Yeah, I was stopping to get gas and we were in a verbal disagreement.
Okay, did it get physical?
No.
And the cameras will show that it wasn't physical?
As far as I know, yes, sir.
Well, it either was or it wasn't. So you're saying as far as you know. So if you're telling me that it wasn't, then the camera should show that it wasn't, right?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make that clear. Ms. Allen, you have any questions? No?
Your Honor, I do not have any questions. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Rosenhuber, thank you for being here, Ms. Lopez.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Saunders is 25 years old. He's been a Georgia resident for the past 10 plus years. He did attend some college for about 2 years. His mother and his grandmother both reside here in Georgia as well, and he currently does have a job working as a server at the Corner Taqueria. Judge, given the alleged victim's stance in this case, we'd request no further violent contact and for the bond not to exceed $1,000.
Okay, for the battery, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For the simple battery, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Lopez, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Saunders.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Next is gonna be position number 21, Mr. Jamario Teller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Taylor. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007598E with battery and theft by taking. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, he has 11 cycles. The last arrest was October the 14th, 2023 in Fulton County for a probation violation. He does appear to have an open case pending in Fulton County for aggravated assault. That case number is 23 CP 220882. In addition to that, he appears to have an open case pending in DeKalb County for a DUI. He did receive first offender treatment in 2020 for possession of Schedule 4 controlled substance. There was no seal date listed in the GCIC. He does have one misdemeanor conviction that was in 2019 for theft by shoplifting. Nothing in addition, Your Honor, and he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR a level 3.
Your Honor, Mr. Taylor, that's who we're on right now.
Yes.
His open case in Superior Court is an aggravated assault against the woman he shares a child with. Her last name is Hill. The victim in this case happens to be her sister. He also has a prior battery family violence conviction against that same victim. The incident in front of you occurred on October the 6th at 1754 Richmond Circle. That is the residence of the mother of Mrs. Hill, Mrs. Indira Hill, who's the sister of the woman that he's got a child with, and their family. The police responded and took a report. The victim was seen to have scratches on her face, and it's listed on the police report as being all over her body. She was scratched all over her body as a result of this incident. She reported that she was outside the location when the defendant approached with his current girlfriend, who she knows by the name of Keen Burney. Police have not identified her yet, but the defendant does talk about her and uses the initials KB. They asked her to go inside and get her sister. So the defendant showing up at mom's house with his new girlfriend demanding to see his baby mom, who's not there. They encounter sister Indira Hill. And at that point, the defendant is seen by two different witnesses shoving Mrs. Indira Hill to the ground and then putting his foot down on her, part of her body to prevent her from getting up while his girlfriend repeatedly punches her and assaults her. The defendant then takes two of the victim's cell phones and flees the location. Surveillance was obtained, and it actually shows the defendant sneak back onto the property and hide the lady's cell phones in the bushes afterwards. The victim identified the defendant because she's known him for years, and she is an aunt to his child and is a family member to the woman he shares children with. She reported that she didn't know the first and last government name of the woman who was there with him to assault her, but pointed her out on social media to police. We'd be asking for a $3,000 surety, Your Honor. I would also note that following this incident, the victim in this case, Indira Hill, obtained an order for protection that's been served on the defendant. So we'd be asking for a $3,000 surety, Your Honor. There was a cruelty in the third degree charge with this case, but you can't commit cruelty in the third degree if you're not intimately involved with the victim. If I could verify that this defendant ever lived in the same home with Indira, I would reaccuse this as family violence. But at this point, he's charged with the theft of her 2 cell phones and assaulting her, and hopefully there'll be charges for his girlfriend as well. So we're asking for a $3,000 surety, no contact with Indira Hill, to stay away from that location, which is the Hill family address at 1754 Richmond Circle Southeast, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I would note and make very clear that this violent behavior, a new violation of the law, are violation of the conditions of his bond. He's currently out on a bond for pointing a handgun at the other Hill sister, the woman he shares a child with. So the facts of this case are that he goes to mom's house demanding to speak to the woman he shares a child with while he's currently under a bond requiring he have no contact with her. Thank you.
If Miss Indira Hill is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Yes, Miss Rosenhuber.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Taylor is 28 years old. He is a lifelong Georgia resident. He completed some college at Augusta School of Medicine, and he currently works at doing residential and commercial cleaning through a business called A Touch of Love. Judge, he does reside now with his current girlfriend and 2 of his children. I understand the state's position and request for a surety bond, but I would ask the court to consider pretrial's recommendation of a UJR level 3. Thank you.
For the battery, it'll be a $2,000 good bond. For the theft, a $500 good bond. Makes for a total of a $2,500 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Indira Hill. Stay away from the Richmond Circle address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Next, we have position number 22.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Tofia. You have been charged in case 24 CR 007599F with simple battery, family violence, and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Your Honor, he does not have any prior arrests on file. He appears to meet the criteria for UJR level 1 with an adult co-signer. Nothing in addition.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident happened on the 8th of November, specifically at 853 Commonwealth Avenue Southeast. The victim in this case is Sophia, same last name, Tofia. She's here on the Zoom with us. She's the mother of the defendant in front of you. He is 20 years old. The police report indicates that the victim called the police. She was visibly upset. She reported that during an argument, her son snatched her phone out of her hand, wouldn't give it back to her. And when she tried to retrieve her phone, he took her by the arms and violently shook her. She was afraid and crying, and went and called police as a result. We have been in touch with Mrs. Tofia today. She says she resides at the same location with her son and that there is no history. She's not afraid. We'd be asking for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial, Your Honor. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and no violent contact. We'd also ask for some anger management or some kind of programming. And if you would sound for Mrs. Tofia. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Tofia, I see you there. You've been with us this entire time. I thank you for your patience, ma'am. If you would like to address the court, I'll need for you to unmute yourself.
Can you,
Okay, now I can hear you now, but I can't see you. Can you put your
okay,
camera for me?
okay, now, sorry about that.
Oh,
Can you see
no,
me now?
yes, I can. You're fine.
Okay,
Can you raise your right hand for me?
sure,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
I just was very surprised by my son's reaction. He's never had he's always been a very respectable young man. And I know that recently he had some challenges after graduating from high school and being in an SCC school at University of Ole Miss. He was student athlete and in a situation where his grades had fallen. So he's still enrolled there, and he's also enrolled here at Atlanta Metropolitan. However, I would advise that he does get some type of counseling. My ex-husband, his father, she's a psychiatrist, and I don't know if he's going through some type of depression or whatever the situation is, but in that moment, I had no choice because he was very upset, and I could not calm him down. So when the officers arrived, I was mainly more disappointed in his actions because he doesn't smoke nor drink. And that's very surprising of a 20-year-old. But, I just don't want, I really didn't want to put him in this predicament, but I didn't have a choice because he was completely just out of control.
Okay, and he lives at you at the Commonwealth Avenue address?
Yes, sir. He's here. He'll be returning to University of Ole Miss. I think it's going to be January, February.
Okay, so he's going to be re-enrolled in school.
Yeah, he's already enrolled. He's not.
Okay, so he'll be going back
Yes.
in January, February. Okay. And at the present time, how does he spend his days?
Working and going to school.
He has a job also?
Yes, he does. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for being here this afternoon, ma'am. We appreciate it. Ms. Rosenhuber?
Thank you, Judge. I think the court has heard a lot about Mr. Tofia, so I won't take up much more time. I believe the state requested a pretrial bond, and so we would request the same. Thank you.
And Ms. Jackson, even at 20, you require a adult cosigner?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay, so Ms. Tofia, are you willing to sign your son out?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're gonna have to make sure that when he's being released that you take some identification, and we'll make sure this is the correct spelling of your name here on the screen.
I don't. Where am I?
Sophiatophia.
That is correct. Middle initial is L.
Okay. Well, actually, given that he's going back, given the nature of the charges and that he'll be returning to Ole Miss, I'm going to send him through the jail. So it will be a $2,000 signature bond for the simple battery, a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. For the criminal trespass, a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. I want him to do anger awareness, one anger awareness. no further violent contact with Ms. Sophia, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Okay, good luck to you both.
Thank you.
Who do we have next?
Few announcements, Your Honor.
Okay,
Position number 7, that's gonna be a MH reset.
okay, position 7, Copeland will be reset until 11/12.
Position number 20, his bond was paid.
Position 20, Scoggins has bonded out. Okay,
And position 24, he wasn't on the pull sheet, but that defendant's in Oconee County.
okay, are we resetting up for tomorrow, or when do you think?
Yeah.
For tomorrow? Okay, so
Yeah.
that'll be reset for 11/12 as well. Does that cover it? Does
Are
that
you
cover
on-
it? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, are you on for tomorrow's court, Judge?
I am, yes.
The concern is with position 24 is we were told the same thing on Saturday. He was in Oconee and they couldn't get him for whatever reason. And it wasn't a Riverside issue today. However, tomorrow it may be. And so how does the court want to handle that? Because the state's ready to proceed with that. And we want to make sure that this is not a Riverside issue because it's a case where it's violence against the same victim and he has an open case.
Okay, at what time does it become a Riverside issue?
It became a Riverside issue at 2:07 p.m. today, Judge, and court started at 2. So we were hoping he would be heard today.
And what is the issue with the account? Can we not zoom in from the Oconee County Jail?
On Saturday, we were waiting for them to log in, and it was our understanding that they were coming, and then they didn't. And so it was a reset based on that. And he's been in jail. He's booked in Fulton County as of September 10th. It's a little bit of a strange situation. The case that he's currently booked on from September is the second case of family violence, but it's the first case in the court records. No one caught the other warrant that was outstanding from May, which is the case that's on the calendar today. So it's one of those situations, and it's my understanding he has an open burglary case as well, and it says no bond on the jailing. And I'm not sure if that's because he has no bond or if that was another warrant that came down that he was served last week.
Okay, and Ms. Rosenhuber, has anyone spoken with Mr. Tutman?
So, Judge, just from looking at Odyssey, it looks like he is already assigned to a PD for the other case that the solicitor mentioned, and he has this additional unindicted case. If the court was asking if we've spoken with him today, I have not. I didn't see him on the pull sheet, and I didn't know until the calendar was published that he was on here. So I'm not sure how the court wants to handle it.
Well, Your Honor, we would ask the defense to waive Riverside at this point because this case is not the only case that's holding him. And we've been ready to proceed on his bond hearing this is the second day now.
And Judge, I don't feel comfortable waiving if I haven't spoken with the client, but I understand, the position that we're in.
Right. Well, and you also don't have a waiver to proceed without him, given that you haven't spoken with him. Let's
Also, I mean, just for clarification, Your Honor, the booking information indicates he is in our custody, but that he is not physically available to be in court right now because maybe Oconee isn't available to Zoom. So the ability to communicate with this young man has not changed. I think he's been continuously in custody. He's just outsourced. So appraising him of what his warrants are and making sure he understands that he's got a new case here in state court is really the goal. It shouldn't.
Your Honor,
be
he
a
was
riverside
served
issue.
with, so he's been in custody since September. This warrant was discovered sometime last week, we believe, and he was served this new arrest warrant November 8th at 2:07, or he was booked in on this case rather, November 8th at 2:07 p.m. So I'm going off of the booking screen for Riverside purposes. On Saturday, the public defender was trying to argue that it's a Riverside issue because he's been in custody since September. However, Judge Williams clarified that he wasn't actually served this warrant until November 8th, and that today would be the day that if it was going to turn into a Riverside issue, it may. So that, I mean, that's the state's position. There's just a concern, especially with this individual, because of his criminal history and because this is a repeat offender. If there's any way we can get Oconee on the line, or if we can get a PD to talk to him to waive his presence.
Is there any way that we can do that today?
And we were told on Saturday that Oconee had requested a court production order, and the public defender, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. I believe she has red hair. That was in charge of that, was coordinating with someone to get that, or the court said they were going to get that. It was Miss Strong on, and so it was our understanding. No, I'm sorry, not Miss Strong, Miss Lewis. It was my understanding that that was in the works and that was not going to be an issue today.
Morris, any input?
Hey, Judge, this Sergeant Glanton. So Saturday, I was there. I had sent a production order to the transport team to transport him up to the main jail. He outsourced to Oconee for Fulton County Jail. Today I see he's not here, so I had sent another email for him to be brought over for tomorrow.
Okay, well, we need him today.
I don't
And
have
there's no way to video him in.
No, I don't have no information for Oconee.
You have a phone number for Oconee?
No, just an email address, and I'm not sure if that person might be there today.
Okay. So Ms. Desiano, given what's going on, I'm the judge tomorrow. I'm not going to be inclined to, and the fact that you're telling me that he's in on something else, right? It's not just this case that's holding him in.
That's correct, Your Honor. And it's our understanding he hasn't even made bond on the case that he was originally arrested for in September, which is the second incident. So he's not going anywhere.
Okay, so this is not the state's fault as far as producing him for any reason. I would not be so inclined to give to Riverside him. I will let whoever. You're not going to be here tomorrow, are you, Ms. Rosenhoover?
Unfortunately not, Judge, but I can send an email to our supervisor about it.
All right, so let them know I am willing to hear whatever arguments that they want to argue, but I wouldn't be so inclined to penalize the state when it's not their fault. Okay. All right. So does that with that said, does that conclude? Have we gotten everybody off of the 2 o'clock calendar?
That should be it, Your Honor.
Oh, all right, good. So we'll go over the calendar and so Ms. Bridgewater, whenever you're ready.
Yes, Your Honor. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is November the 26th. Position number 1 is going to the SAP calendar with a $2,000 good bond. Position 2 is reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. 3 is reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through pretrial. 4, reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 5, reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 6 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $3,000 split bond. 7 is being reset till tomorrow. 8 is reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 9 is set further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 10, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 11, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 12, reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 13, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. 14, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 15, reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 16 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $500 good bond. 17, reset further notice with the $5,000 SOB through pretrial. 18 is going to the SAP calendar with a $250 good bond. 19, reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 20 is being reset further notice as the defendant has been released. 21 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $2,500 good bond. 22, reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through the jail. 23, reset further notice with the $3,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 24 is going to be heard tomorrow. And 25 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $1,000 good bond. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise? You're muted, Judge.
All right, the add-on. Do we have an add-on?
Oh, the add-on has been sent over, been signed off. It was a total $1,000 SOB through the jail.
Okay. All right.
And that was the Thomas case.
Thank you. Anything further?
Oh, thank you, guys.
No,
Yeah,
thank you,
thank you
Judge.
all.
Oh, and for all veterans, happy Veterans Day.
Yes, happy Veterans Day. It's 420. We did good for 26. You know, last week we had 11. We had 11 and it took us this long. But y'all
I
did a
still
great
can't
job.
believe there was only 11 cases on Monday.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
I wasn't,
All right.
I missed it.
Y'all have a
Great
good
job,
rest of your
guys.
day.
Great job.
Mrs. Wright and Mrs. Rosenhoover, nice to have you guys. Thank you. Come in. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
her cat loves to make lots of appearances on the Zoom.
And
And I will mirror that. Thank you guys for being here.
Yes, of course. Thank
Take
you
care,
all. Have a good
everyone.
one.
All right.
Thank you. Have a
guys.
good one, everyone.
Have a good night.